Welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you want to get smart, fast.
Yep. We dig into interesting sources, pull out the key stuff, those aha moments.
Exactly, so you get the big picture without feeling totally swamped.
And today, we're digging into Michael E. Gerber's The E-Myth Revisited. Some excerpts, anyway.
Right. Now, this book, it's from 2001, looking back even further. So the big question is, why talk about it now? Is it still relevant?
That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
But honestly, Gerber's insights, well, they were formed over like 30 years. He saw businesses boom and bust, built his own life, talked to tons of business owners all over the world.
And the stuff he talks about, it feels incredibly spot on for anyone starting or running a small business today. It's almost weirdly timeless.
It really is. And what's kind of amazing is how early he saw this core idea
Mm.
that getting really extraordinary results often comes down to nailing the boring stuff, the day-to-day.
Like being fascinated with how the business works, not just chasing success.
Exactly. It's about the development, the building process itself.
Okay, let's get into it. The book kicks off by taking on this really common idea, right? The E-myth, the entrepreneurial myth. What's that about?
So the E-myth is this belief lots of people have, but Gerber says it's wrong. The belief that most small businesses are started by these classic entrepreneurs, risking capital, purely chasing profit.
But that's not usually the main driver.
Not according to Gerber.
Hmm.
He talks about the entrepreneurial seizure.
Mhm.
That moment, someone just snaps and says, I can do this myself.
What does that actually look like?
Well, imagine someone who's really good at their job, a great baker, maybe,
Yeah.
or a skilled mechanic working for someone else.
Okay.
And then one day, it just hits them. Why am I doing this? Why am I working for this guy? Heck, I know as much about this business as he does. Maybe more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That feeling, I could run this thing better myself,
Yeah.
that's the entrepreneurial seizure. It often comes from being fed up with the technical work, not necessarily some grand business vision.
And that leads right into the fatal assumption. Sounds ominous. What's the mistake there?
The fatal assumption. Yeah, it's a big one. It's thinking that because you understand the technical work of a business, you automatically understand how to run the business itself.
Oh,
He
okay.
uses the example of Sarah, the pie baker. She makes amazing pies, right? But she finds out super fast that baking pies as a job is totally different from running a whole pie business.
Right. Suddenly it's marketing, finance, managing people.
Exactly. All that stuff. It's not just about the pies anymore. It's a completely different skill set.
Makes sense. Gerber also has this analogy for the internal conflict owners face. The skinny guy and the fat guy. What's the story there?
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to think about, making commitments and sticking to them. The skinny guy is like our ambitious side, makes plans, sets goals, wants to be disciplined.
Okay.
But then there's the fat guy. That's like our comfort zone, right?
Right.
Our resistance, the old habits that just want to pull us back to what feels easy or familiar.
And that internal fight plays out in the business.
Totally. The owner might have this great idea, this vision, the skinny guy talking. But then, day to day, they slip back into old routines, just doing the immediate tasks, maybe putting out fires. That's the fat guy undermining the plan.
Interesting. So it's not about being just one thing. Gerber says everyone in business actually has three personalities inside them, right? The entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician.
Exactly. Three distinct roles or mindsets within one person. Let's break them down.
Okay, first up, the entrepreneur. Who's that?
The entrepreneur is the visionary, the dreamer, always looking ahead, thinking about what if. They're the source of the big ideas, the innovation. But, sometimes they're so focused on the future, they kind of miss what's right in front of them.
Okay. Then there's the manager. What's their deal?
The manager loves order, pragmatic, wants systems, predictability, efficiency. You know that person who, perfectly labels everything in their workshop?
Yeah.
That's pure manager energy. You absolutely need that. Otherwise, it's just chaos. But if the manager is all you have, things can get rigid, stuck.
And the last one, the technician.
The technician is the doer, the hands-on person who loves the actual work, the craft. Their mindset is often, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself.
Okay.
You need the technician to actually make the product or deliver the service. But if the technician takes over completely, the owner gets totally bored down in the day-to-day work and forgets to, manage or think like an entrepreneur.
So the entrepreneur dreams it, the manager plans it, the technician does it, but you're saying they often fight.
Oh, yeah, big time. They're often in conflict inside the owner's head. It's like they're all pulling in different directions.
Sabotaging each other almost.
Kind of. The entrepreneur wants to chase the next big thing, the manager wants to lock everything down, and the technician just wants to get today's work done perfectly. It creates inconsistency, confusion.
So the goal is balance.
Ideally, yes. The entrepreneur points the way, the manager builds the systems to get there, and the technician does the work within those systems. But achieving that balance, that's the trick.
Now, businesses don't stay static. They grow, or try to. Gerber talks about stages: infancy, adolescence, and maturity. What happens in infancy?
Infancy is that first phase. Usually the technician is running the show, there's excitement, freedom, I'm my own boss.
Right.
But it very quickly turns into overwhelm. The owner tries to do everything, every single task. And like Gerber says, you suddenly realize your business has become the boss you thought you left behind.
Ooh, yeah. You're working harder than ever, just trying to keep up.
Exactly. Constantly putting out fires. Infancy typically ends when the owner hit the wall and realizes, okay, this can't continue. Something has to change.
Which leads to adolescence.
Right. Adolescence. This is where the owner knows they need help, so they start hiring people.
Mm.
Maybe a bookkeeper, like his example, Harry.
But it doesn't always go smoothly. He talks about management by abdication.
Yeah, that's a classic trap. You hire someone, say, to handle the books, and then you basically just vanish. You assume they'll just figure it out. You don't actually manage them, set expectations, check their work.
Because you're still thinking like a technician, busy doing your work.
Pretty much. You default back to what, the technical stuff. So even though you have employees, you often end up becoming this master juggler, jumping back in to fix things or do it yourself because it wasn't done right.
Still stuck in the technician trap, basically.
Exactly. You haven't stepped up to be the manager or the entrepreneur. And this chaotic adolescent phase, well, it can end in a few ways.
Okay, what are the outcomes?
One is getting small again. The owner just gets so overwhelmed by the chaos they can't handle, they shrink the business back down to what they can personally control, back to their comfort zone.
Giving up on growth, essentially.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Then there's going for broke. This is where the business grows really fast, but it's uncontrolled. All focus is on selling more product, but the underlying systems, the foundation, isn't there.
And it often crashes.
Often spectacularly, yeah.
Yeah.
Think of those tech companies he mentions that boomed and then vanished. Great product, maybe, but no solid business structure.
And the third outcome?
That's maybe the saddest. Adolescent survival. The business just limps along. The owner is constantly fighting the same fires year after year, totally burned out, never really getting ahead, stuck.
Wow. Okay, so how do you avoid that? How do you actually build a successful, sustainable business? Gerber introduces the mature company idea based on the entrepreneurial model. What's the shift?
The big shift is designing a business that can work without you, the owner, having to do everything. It requires adopting an entrepreneurial perspective.
Which means?
Seeing the business as a whole system, an integrated network of parts, all working together predictably to achieve a specific result. It's the opposite of the technician's view, which is just focused on the task at hand right now.
And this connects to the turnkey revolution and franchising.
Exactly. He holds up the business format franchise as the best example of this model working.
McDonald's being the classic case.
The ultimate example, yeah. Ray Kroc did just invent a better hamburger.
Yeah.
He invented a system for making and selling hamburgers consistently, the franchise prototype.
So the real product wasn't the burger, it was the business system itself.
That's the core idea. Kroc knew he couldn't rely on every single franchisee being a brilliant business person. The system had to be so good, so detailed, that it virtually guaranteed consistency and success regardless of who was running the individual store.
He was competing against all business opportunities, not just other food places.
Right. And the system was his edge. And you see the results in the success rates Gerber mentions. Franchises built on this model have a way higher survival rate than independent startups.
So this franchise prototype, what is that exactly?
Think of it as the living model of your business. The laboratory where you test everything. Does this process work? Does this script work? Does this layout work? It's where you figure out the how.
And the principle is, the system runs the business and the people run the system.
You got it. It's about creating that predictability. Like McDonald's knowing exactly how many seconds to cook the fries, how many pickles on the burger. Insane detail, but it works.
Which brings us back to that crucial idea, working on your business, not just in it.
That's the fundamental shift. Moving from being the technician doing the work to being the entrepreneur and manager building the system that does the work. Thinking like you're creating a business that could be franchised even if you never intend to. That's the franchise game mindset.
Okay. And to play this franchise game, Well, there are 5 key rules for the prototype. What's rule number 1?
Rule 1. The model has to provide consistent value that goes beyond what people expect. And that's value for everyone, customers, sure, but also employees, suppliers, lenders.
So not just the product, but the whole experience, like a friendly greeting, maybe, or transparent pricing?
Exactly. Those little things that add up to a feeling of being valued. Rule
Hmm.
number 2. The model has to be operable by people with the lowest possible level of skill.
That sounds counterintuitive.
It forces you to build amazing systems. Systems so clear, so well designed, that ordinary people can step in and produce extraordinary consistent results. It's about the system doing the heavy lifting, not relying on hiring only superstars.
Got it. Rule 3.
Rule 3. The model has to stand out as a place of impeccable order. In a messy world, order feels good. It builds trust, communicates professionalism. People feel more comfortable.
Makes sense. Rule 4.
Rule 4. All work needs to be documented in operations manuals. Everything. How to answer the phone, how to process an order, how to clean the equipment. It's the how-to guide for your entire business. Provide structure, consistency.
The nitty-gritty details. And rule 5.
Rule 5. The model has to provide a uniformly predictable service to the customer. Consistency is king. Customers need to know what they're going to get every single time. Remember his barbershop story. Great haircut sometimes, awful other times. That inconsistency drove him away.
Right, so building this prototype isn't just a one-off thing.
No, it's continuous. It's the business development process. Innovation, quantification, and orchestration.
Okay, let's break those down. Innovation.
Innovation here means constantly looking for better ways to do things, always asking, what's the best way? And critically, always from the customer's point of view, plus aiming to simplify.
Like the example of changing the greeting at the door and seeing sales jump. Or the blue suit test for sales reps.
Exactly. Small changes, tested, that can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Which leads directly to quantification.
Measuring the impact. Why is that so vital?
Because otherwise, how do you know if your innovation actually worked? You need numbers. Track the results before the change, track them after. Did sales go up? Did complaints go down? Did efficiency improve? You need to measure it to know if it's worth keeping. So many businesses skip this.
And once you've innovated and quantified, then comes orchestration.
Orchestration is where you lock it down. You take the innovations that you've proven work through quantification, and you build them into the standard operating procedure. You eliminate guesswork and discretion at the front line. Everyone does it the proven best way, every time.
That's how you get consistency.
That's how you get consistency. Think FedEx, Disney, McDonald's, masters of orchestration. Gerber says if you haven't orchestrated it, you don't own it. It's not truly part of your business system until it's documented and consistently followed.
Okay, shifting gears a little. Gerber puts huge emphasis on your primary aim. This isn't about the business itself initially, is it?
No, it's about you, the owner. Before you design the business, you need to figure out what you want from life. What do you value most? What kind of life do you want this business to help you achieve?
So the business serves the life, not the other way around.
That's the idea. Your primary aim, your personal vision for your life, your desired income, how you want to spend your time, your net worth goals, that provides the real purpose and energy for the business. It gives you the why.
And then you translate that personal why into the business through the strategic objective.
Exactly. The strategic objective is the vision for the business itself, but it's directly informed by your primary aim. And a key part of this is realizing people don't just buy products or services.
They buy feelings.
They buy feelings, often unconsciously. So your strategic objective needs to define what feeling your business will provide. How will it satisfy those deeper customer needs? This means really understanding your customer demographics, who they are, and psychographics, why they buy.
Like Sarah, the pie maker, realizing her aunt wasn't just teaching her recipes, but something deeper about caring and spirit.
Right. And that transformed her vision for all about pies into something much more meaningful, a place focused on nurturing people.
Now, even for a tiny business, Gerber insists on organizational development, starting with an org chart. Why is drawing boxes so important if it's just you?
It seems basic, but it's profound. The story of Jack and Murray shows the chaos that happens when roles aren't clear, even with just 2 people.
Right.
Drawing an org chart, even if you put your own name in every box initially, president, salesperson, technician, bookkeeper, forces you to think about all the functions the business needs to perform successfully. It shifts your perspective from just doing tasks to designing roles.
And then you create position contracts for these roles.
Yes. A position contract spells out the results expected from that role, the responsibilities, the standards, who it reports to. It defines the job, not the person currently doing it.
So the work stays the same, defined by the contract, even if the person changes.
Exactly. Then you put names in the boxes, even if it's your name multiple times. The crucial part is what Jack and Marie did next. They started prototyping those positions,
Meaning?
meaning they worked in each role specifically to figure out the best way to do that job and document it before hiring someone else. Marie took on sales, figured out the process, wrote the sales manual. They built a system for the role first.
Ah, working on the business within the context of each role.
Precisely. And it sets the standard. You can't expect employees to follow systems if you, the owner, aren't willing to define them and follow them yourself. Walk the talk.
This leads logically to management development. If the system runs the business, what are managers managing?
Good question. They're managing the system, ensuring the system is being followed correctly, measuring its performance, identifying areas where the system needs improvement. Gerber talks about a hierarchy. How we do it here, how we recruit, hire, train, how we manage, how we change it. Systems for everything.
Okay. And marketing strategy. You mentioned demographics and psychographics. Why is understanding the why behind buying so critical?
Because, as Gerber points out, buying decisions are often emotional, almost instant. The logical reasons we give ourselves often come later.
So knowing who your customer is, demographics, helps you understand why they buy psychographics.
Exactly. Think about IBM choosing blue. That wasn't random. It was a cytographically calculated choice about the feeling they wanted to convey: stability, reliability, seriousness. Understanding those emotional triggers is key.
And this strategic marketing work is more important than just tactical stuff like placing ads.
Absolutely. Defining what feeling are we selling is core strategy. The tactics flow from that. He even broadens marketing to include the whole process: lead generation, finding prospects, lead conversion, sales, and client fulfillment, operations delivery. It's all connected.
Finally, system strategy. He breaks it into hard, soft, and information systems. Quick definitions.
Sure. Hard systems are the tangible things: computers, equipment, the office layout, signage, physical stuff.
Okay. Soft systems.
Soft systems are the intangible things: people, ideas, processes, how you answer the phone, the sales script you use, how you greet a customer. Hi, have you been in here before? Training procedures. Every interaction is basically a soft system.
Like the hotel example, the matchbook, mint, coffee, paper. It wasn't just the items, but the consistent process, the feeling of being heard.
Exactly. Someone had designed that sequence, that soft system, based on listening to guests. And behind that were checklists, management routines, more systems.
And information systems.
That's how you track everything: sales numbers, conversion rates, customer feedback, inventory levels. The data that tells you how your hard and soft systems are actually performing.
He gives examples like the blue ink on the walls, a simple hard system fix for a recurring annoyance.
Right. And the PowerPoint selling system as a detailed soft system, structured steps, scripts for different presentations like needs analysis, solutions.
With specific questions like the money management questionnaire.
Yeah, very structured. The structure is the soft system. And then the information system tracks how well that selling system is working, conversion rates at each step, etc.
Beneath all this process and structure, though, there's a theme about values and meaning, isn't there?
Definitely. Gerber senses this deeper yearning people have beyond just the money, a desire for the business to mean something.
And he suggests that meaning comes from caring.
From genuinely caring
Sure.
about your customers, your employees, the work itself, building a business that reflects that care, that purpose.
So to wrap up, he talks about the dream of American small business. It's not just about independence, is it?
He sees it as a desire for order, for form, for control, a way to create your own world, structured the way you want it, as a kind of refuge from the chaos out there.
And the process of building that world, the business development process itself, actually changes you.
It has to.
Yeah.
Engaging with these ideas, building systems, shifting from technician to entrepreneur and manager, it forces growth. The core message really is, if your business isn't where you want it to be, look at your systems, or lack thereof.
It comes down to taking that step back, looking at it all with fresh eyes, with E-Myth eyes.
Exactly. So the big takeaway from our dive into the E-Myth is really about that mindset shift. Stop being just the technician. Become the entrepreneur who designs the vision and the manager who builds the systems. Focus relentlessly on creating that predictable, consistent business model that works for you, aligned with your personal primary aim.
Right. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Think about your own business, or the one you dream of. What are those seemingly insignificant, unimportant, and boring things that if you did them absolutely perfectly, with real care and intention, could actually create the unique soul of your business? What hidden truths about what you really value might your business be trying to show you right now?
Yeah, definitely something to mull over. We really hope you'll think about how these E-Myth concepts could apply to your own situation. And if you're intrigued, definitely check out the full book by Michael Gerber. There's a lot more depth there.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.